All right, betters, look who I have in the house here, Gino from the Y-Files.
I'm glad you brought Hecklefish.
You did not have to do that. I appreciate it.
I fucking love your channel, dude. I've spent countless hours watching your hilarious videos.
So cool that you've even found it.
Well, you know, Gino told me about it your brother Gino, who I've been friends with for years, told me about it a long time ago that you guys were doing this. And I was like, really? All right. Interesting. And then I watched them, like, this is fucking great. It's right up my alley.
Betters, I am super excited. We are going to be covering an object that allegedly is headed towards Earth that is a spaceship, potentially. That's what Avi Loeb is saying. Joe Rogan has commented on it as well. And we are also going to comment on this. So let's jump into this video. Gino, what do you got to say?
You know, it's really interesting that they think that this could be some type of ship coming into, you know, our solar system. I think what they've said doesn't give it enough credence of how dangerous it could be. We should be talking about that part of it also. Not that it might crash into us, but if Avi Loeb is correct, and it is actually a manned ship of some biologics, we should be afraid.
And when you hear how big this thing is, that's also scary. And some of the probabilities, the percentages of like this, that, the other. And if you remember, about 7 months ago, Jeremy Corbell predicted that they would use some sort of story like this to tell us about a ship headed towards Earth being here in 2027, which is when this object potentially could come here. Absolutely. So just saying, that's interesting, but we'll dig into that. So let's jump into the video.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope.
Betters, please hit the like button. Come on, I got Gino here. That would really help out. And of course, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, y'all, before the end of the year.
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. Let's jump into the story. Let's play this first clip from Joe Rogan and let him explain a little bit of, you know, what is happening.
Do you hear about that fucking object that's hurtling towards Earth at like 130,000 miles an hour?
No, that might solve all our problems.
Some intergalactic object that's hurt. There's this guy, Avi Loeb. He's a professor at Harvard that believes it might be an alien probe.
Wow.
And he was talking about the odds of this thing being in the trajectory that it is, entering into our solar system in a direct path with Earth. The odds are extremely low. And at the place where it's doing it, it's when the Earth is the opposite side of the sun, so it's coming from behind the sun. And it's so it makes it difficult to detect. And that this object is in a direct line to come to Earth in 2027.
Do they have a trajectory of where it's going to land?
I don't think they totally know that yet. I think they're trying to calculate whether or not it's actually going to hit Earth or come near Earth or pass by Earth or what it, you know, what it is. Like
why do they think it's an alien satellite or whatever.
Well, there's this guy, Avi Loeb, this professor that I'm discussing. He also had an analysis of another object that passed by Earth a few years back that they named, and they said that this thing had a very bizarre metallic sort of a look to it that he did not think, based on the shape of it and the way it was traveling, that it was natural. So he thought that that could have been some sort of an alien craft as well. I don't know. It's too fun. It's too fun.
But
to believe
as
that
it
it's
gets
a
closer,
spaceship.
we could probably decipher.
Scientists give chilling update on mysterious interstellar object racing through our solar system as they warn it's even bigger than we thought. Provide a chilling update on a mysterious interstellar object that's racing through our solar system using data from the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. Experts have revealed just how big the object dubbed 31 Atlas really is. According to their analysis, the object measures roughly 7 miles in diameter. Holy fuck. How big is New York City? Bigger than Mount Everest, making it the largest interstellar object ever spotted. Professor Avi Loeb, theoretical physicist and cosmologist from Harvard University, suggested the object could be an alien spacecraft. However, not everyone is convinced. Chris Lintott, an astronomer at the University of Oxford, told Live Science any suggestion that it's artificial is nonsense on stilts. He added that these claims are an insult to the exciting work going on to understand this object. But Harvard's legit, and Avi Loeb is a legit astronomer.
Right. I mean, let's not rule anything out.
Yeah.
As it gets closer.
There's something about it, about the way it's traveling, that it's bizarre. But it doesn't have a trail like a comet does.
Right.
We can scroll up a little so I can see that. The images of the comet were actually snapped by the Vera C. Rubin before it was officially discovered. However, since it was identified on July 1st, just a little bit ago, scientists have scoured back through data to find out more about the mysterious object. New study published on RXIV, whatever that is. More than 200 researchers have confirmed the likely size of the comet's main body, known as its nucleus. Their analysis suggests the nucleus has a radius of around 3.5 miles. That translates to a diameter or width of about 7 miles. To put that in perspective, bigger than Mount Everest, twice the size of Mount Kilimanjaro. Fuck.
That Honeymoon was way smaller.
Wow.
Yeah, so the, how do you say it?
Oumuamua, I think.
Oumuamua, discovered in 2017. He came on and talked to us about that. Was believed to be around 0.2 miles wide. And comet Borisov, discovered in 2019, was roughly 1 kilometer wide. So this thing is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, previously speaking to Mail Online, Professor Loeb pointed out that its impressive speed of 130,000 miles per hour as an indication that it might be controlled by aliens. He said it's difficult to imagine a natural process that would favor a plunge towards the inner solar system at 60 kilometers per second, he said. An alternative is that the object targets the inner solar system by some technological design. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Well, hopefully they come in peace.
Well, that might be the end of the Earth. Maybe that's like they realize like that's when AI starts to take over and they think it's chaos. So like that's when it's gonna happen. So let's just like launch a 7-mile wide thing into the Earth and just start all over again like the dinosaurs.
All right, so there's that clip of Joe. Gino, what do you think of that? Of them breaking this down?
It's really interesting. We brought up earlier in the video here that Avi Loeb thinks that it could be technology coming. Joe mentioned, how big it was.
Yeah.
Well, as big as Mount Everest. I don't know. That's a global catastrophe if it hits us. If it just even comes close to us, it's really interesting. I wonder if that has any other effect gravitationally with things around us. I'm not an astronomer enough to know that.
Yeah.
Mount Everest sounds huge, but maybe
the same
that's
thing.
tiny compared to other things that have a gravitational pull. What's interesting is that it's coming into our orbit from behind the sun. So essentially, if it was some kind of probe or some kind of technology, that would be the best place to hide. And it seems like we're always talking about the best place to hide, whether it's UAPs in the water or on the dark side of the moon, always talking about the best place to hide. So this has properties of being the best place to hide on its way into how we could view it.
Well, but it's behind, let's say this is the sun, right? And I'm Earth, and the object is behind. So it's behind our eye line, but Earth starts to move, right? So unless this thing moves with it, we should be able to see it. And that's why Avi Loeb said in a month or two, we'll have more information. And I think the key is to definitely keep an eye on this. But of course, people are just going to, dismiss it immediately. But at the same time, I don't think there's enough information to be like, yeah, this is an alien spaceship headed towards Earth. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
Here, I know it's a UFO show, but I'm just saying.
Avi Loeb mentioned the dark forest theory. However, he didn't really explain it, which is...
we haven't gotten to that clip yet.
Go ahead.
You know what? Let's roll that clip. Avi Loeb.
I was a co-author on a paper with Adam Hibberd and Adam Crowell, where we said the trajectory of this object appears to be quite remarkable. It arrives within 5 degrees of the orbital plane of the Earth around the Sun. And the chance of that happening randomly is 0.2%. And moreover, it will arrive closest to the Sun when the Earth is on the opposite side of the Sun. And moreover, if you just play with the arrival time randomly, you would notice that only 1 out of 20,000 arrival times would come as close to the inner planets like Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. So that is an unusual coincidence. And why would such a trajectory be so unusual? Well, one possibility is if it was designed by some intelligent civilization, it also comes towards us from the direction of the galactic center, from the Milky Way center, where there are lots of stars, and it's very difficult to notice it. That's why we discovered it so late. By now, it's impossible for us to launch a rocket that will intercept with it, because it would move relative to Earth. It comes in the opposite direction of the motion of Earth around the Sun, and the relative velocity would be 98 kilometers per second when it comes closest to the Sun. And that is 3 times the maximum speed that we can accomplish with chemical rockets. And so there is no way for us to reach it, to intercept with it. And perhaps it wants to break, like when we launch rockets and we want to accomplish a very high speed, we usually introduce a thrust near the Sun, and that buys you the highest kick velocity, taking advantage of the gravitational assist by the Sun. And so if this object wants to do a reverse maneuver, meaning to slow down and get bound to the Sun so that if it's a spacecraft, so that they can visit us, that would be the point where we can't see it because it's hiding behind the Sun. And it raises the interesting possibility that might be technological in origin. Of course, we will know much more in the coming month or two, and it may not be it may be just a comet, but I think it's important to consider the possibility that any interstellar object coming into the solar system might be technological. Because if you just consider the last century, we started transmitting radio signals, basically flagging that we exist as a technological civilization. And there is this dark forest hypothesis that is the answer to Fermi's paradox. Where is everybody? Well, they might be silent, waiting to notice things that might be a threat to them because they were bruised in interactions. So there might be a lot of aliens around. And if someone was listening to our technological signals, they might have realized that here there is a young technological civilization, and we don't want to have that threat. So they would send a hostile mission towards Earth. Of course, that may not be the case. We don't know. But it's the kind of threat that is not often entertained.
Okay, now we've played the clip. What do you think?
Well, like I said, he mentioned dark forest, but he doesn't really explain it in that. So the dark forest theory is if you're in a forest, a dark forest, and you're unsure of the predators around you, you don't start putting up a fire. You don't start putting up a noise. You want to stay hidden because you don't know if those predators are coming after you. You don't know if they're friendly or not. So we may have already passed that situation, which Avi Loeb mentioned, because for years we've been putting things out there saying, hey, here we are, we are. So this could be something coming back. It's interesting that he mentioned Oumuamua, which from 2017, which again came from behind the sun, so we didn't know it was coming to us, and we had to observe it after it passed us, and it was already going so fast that we couldn't catch up to it. So that's an interesting piece of it. If they are connected, well, that would be, the most amazing connection in UFO, UAP history, that a probe was sent here and now a giant mothership or a giant probe is coming. Now, if it's just technology coming, that's interesting in itself. But if not, something the size of Mount Everest, how many people, how many beings could
be
that
on a ship like that
hold?
I mean, that's interesting that you think Oumuamua could have been like a probe. This is the mothership coming back. You know, when I interviewed Avi Loeb the first time, 2023 spring, and of course the Oumuamua story, he was famous for it, right, at that point. And I asked him, do you think that object, or what would you do if that object came back? You know, and he hadn't really thought about that question, you know, so he kind of didn't really have an answer for me. But I'm curious if he wonders if this could be Oumuamua, or it's returned, or it's connected, like you're saying, to Oumuamua, this object. That's interesting.
Now, this is the third or the fourth object ever that was intergalactic. I heard both.
Interstellar.
Yeah.
I think Oumuamua might have been the first. I could be wrong about that. Maybe you're right. There's been very few. Let's say that.
So I'm wondering, which I don't know the answer is, when did our technology develop enough for us to detect that? So I'm sure throughout, the last hundreds of years, other things were probably coming.
Sure.
We just couldn't detect them.
Sure.
So I wonder how long it's been. Has it only been 10 years? Has it only been 20 years? Has it been 100 years that astronomy has been advanced enough to detect this stuff?
Not very long and very few things, but like you said, probably been coming for a long time, and even maybe flying around and we didn't at the outer edges or whatever, right? in our own solar system. I mean, they're finding things behind at the outer edge of our solar system just recently. Mm-hmm. They're finding like another sort of planet or something back there, some weird planet. It's like we don't even know our own oceans.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like but this object coming. Because this is what Mick West would call low information zone, okay? And I agree with this. This is low information zone. What I'm most curious about is how the UFO community is going to use this story, right? How are people in the UFO community going to use this story? Is this the story that Jeremy Corbell is talking about, right?
Well, two things I want to say about that. One is Avi Loeb is a serious scientist. We're talking about Harvard and
definitely, and I like Avi Loeb.
So he's reading data. Is that data would have to be faked by the CIA? That gets to a really big conspiracy. How that would be the scientists.
I'm not saying they're faking the data. I'm just saying, and Avi Loeb is admitting it. He's using probability. There's no definitive evidence. He's just saying the probability of this and that makes it more than random, and that. But there's nothing saying this is an alien space.
Right.
He's just kind of saying it's one of these possibilities. But I'm wondering if people will start to be like, no, it is confirmed to be this.
I think it's a large jump to make this what Jeremy was talking about.
I see what you're saying.
Just because the data is coming through scientists and it is such new data. Now, that said, I do think it could be taken advantage of.
That's what I'm saying. Is Jeremy's story them taking advantage of another story, you know, and that's their story? Does that make sense? Like, there is no other object. This is the thing they'll use to say there's an alien invasion in 2027.
The problem is, Jeremy's been talking about this way before the scientists knew that this was coming. So
okay, that's interesting. All right, that's fair.
So how can these two be
how do we
connected?
know? So they just discovered this at the beginning of July then?
At the beginning of July.
Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense.
And now one other
Unless
thing
Jeremy's a prophet of some sort.
Right.
And
he could be.
He could be, yeah, I don't know.
You know, so one other thing is that the trajectory that it looks like, it seems like it is also going to take a close trajectory to other planets, to Venus and Jupiter, I think they said.
I see what you're saying. This
or Mars
object
and
coming
Jupiter.
in, so we'll get a better look.
Right. Well, not only that, but it seems like they could get a better look if it is technology. So the way it's coming into our solar system, it's not just going to come by Earth. It's also going to pass by other planets in our solar system.
Yeah.
So if you were doing some type of probe, if you were looking to gather data, that obviously would be what you want. Get as close to these planets as possible so that you can get whatever data, advanced, mechanisms they have to gather data to really capture that.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, at this point, realistically, all you can do is wait for more information on this. Is it something that, could pique your interest? Like, it's piqued my interest.
So
for sure, right? Like, it's on the back burner.
It's got my interest, but I am leaning towards natural phenomena.
Sure. Yeah. But also, this is how, an alien sci-fi movie starts.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this object, it's probabilities, and then it starts to raise and get high. I don't know.
One thing I didn't understand in the science of it is they were saying that it's going 3 times faster than we can with rockets.
Yeah.
But it is coming towards us. And they said because of that, we can't even get to it to study it. But once it comes past the sun, if it's coming towards us, how come we can't send probes up there?
Maybe they mean right now, but you're right. Maybe later, as it gets closer, we would be able to. Or if that's the case, pop it out right now and get it going. Mm-hmm. Get it meeting it, halfway. Or at least something closer to study it.
Right.
Right. Like even if we can't get to it, put the, instruments. Why can't they put the James Webb on it? I don't know. And I guess it's behind the sun. We can't see it right visually. That's the thing right now. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
and so I'm assuming that if we have this sun in the middle of our solar system and we're rotating around, so if we're saying it's coming from behind the sun, is it on the same plane as our rotation? Because it could be coming from really anywhere in space.
Yeah.
So is it parallel to us almost?
It would have to be if we can't see it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
So it has to be on almost somewhat of a parallel to
on the y-axis.
Right.
It's on if that is a y-axis, whichever. I guess it's.
You did better in math than me. I was out once we were at Modus Holdings and the law of contrapositives. I don't know anything.
Trust me,
that.
I don't even know what y-axis means. It just sounded right, but. Yes, I mean, I don't know, right? I'm just saying, if we're saying we can't see it because of the sun, then that, it's got to be in eyesight, right? From every part of Earth that looks out towards the sun.
Well, you also have to keep in mind how big the sun is.
That's what I was saying. If I'm Earth, remember earlier I was saying, and if we were rotating around, we would eventually be able to see it. But if right now it's just this, and we can't see it because the sun's in the way, then. We don't know what we're talking about.
This was
here,
not drawn to scale.
We did not plan this. We didn't rehearse this clearly. Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. We've been going too long. Look, real quick, Gino, before we go, links down below for all this to go check it out and look for more information, of course, as always. And we'll update you as soon as there's more information on this. But nothing imminent, right? So we're good. But let's talk quickly, just for a couple minutes, about what we've been doing the last week. We've been filming for my documentary, but also Gino's been filming some after file stuff here as well for the Y Files, different interviews with people. We were all through Arizona, Sedona mainly. We went to Bradshaw Ranch. Okay. We did remote viewing. We did all kinds of we did spoon bending. Gino and I, we did remote viewing. We did a lot of different stuff, right? We sky watched a bunch. We went out to see petroglyphs with Carl the Crusher yesterday. We're going out to some what is
medicine
it?
wheel?
A medicine wheel on the ground that allegedly has made people very sick, very ill. People have died there. And of course, Carl's taken us there.
And
so,
it's supposedly also a time travel portal.
yes, of course.
But you can't, you have to avoid going in because you could get sick. My desire to time travel is there, but my desire to get sick is, I'm overwhelmingly don't want to get sick. So I don't know if this is going to be my first time travel experience.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, we could time travel. I forgot about that. How could I forget? So a lot of adventures. We've recorded it all. We've done a lot of things. Vortex tours, portals, beings, sky watching. We've seen things in the sky. All coming up. I can't share any of it from the documentary till that comes out. But, we've shot a lot of great stuff, which is why I haven't been able to put out many videos. We've just been so busy day and night shooting. And there's still more to come. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad. Thank you, Gino, for joining me on this and
Of course, and
hanging out.
Maybe you'll just see me in the future if I go through that portal.
Yeah. All right, batters. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.